Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada, also known as the Garden City. We've got lots of beautiful greenery, flowers and trees here. I hope everybody is having an awesome week so far. Welcome everybody. This is an IELTS speaking part 1, talking about the news. Welcome Pardeep. Hi Anna, David, Lydia. Nice to see many of our regular students and some new faces. Hi Domenico. Hi Fuang. Hi fam. Nice to have many of our members in this class ready to learn. Welcome Amra, our chat moderator. Great to have you with us. Students, this lesson, as per usual, is brought to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Check us out there. For general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. These are our websites, and we use them to power these live lessons. They are what make these lessons efficient and effective for you. For the academic IELTS, check out aehelp.com. It's this website here with the blue background. You can click this big red button that's just above my head there. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. We don't believe in monthly subscription models. We think that's silly because some people need 1 month, some people need 6 months to prepare for the IELTS. So just join once and that's it. We are an IDP affiliate. We're a British Council partner. We're an IELTS test registration center. We're certified British Council agents. We are industry leaders when it comes to IELTS exam preparation. For the general IELTS, it's gieltshelp.com. It's that big red button there. We will be using the websites today to talk with students and to practice part 1 and for speaking strategy. So you can click that big red button and you can use the code TRAVEL9 for a 10% discount on the website. So definitely check that out. And we will be coming back to the website in a little bit to do some speaking practice. We have apps for you. It's Academic IELTS Help, General IELTS Help. Download those apps from your app store. Excuse me. And link them to the websites, to aehelp.com and gieltshelp.com. The apps and the websites can link and connect. Welcome Carolina, our chat moderator. Sujal, there is a free version that you can try out. Amra, thank you for the blessing. We have Instagram, IELTS_AEhelp. We're just about at 100,000 subscribers. Woohoo! Or followers, I should say. 100,000 followers almost on IELTS_AEhelp. And then we've got GIELTS Help as well. Students, if you have questions, you can ask me throughout this class in the chat. The moderators, Amra and Carolina, are also here to help answer your questions. So when you have a question, look for Amra and Carolina's answer. They do a really good job answering questions and helping students. If you don't get answers in the class, don't spam. Just send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. and we'll get back to you ASAP. All right. Amazon does have our books, AE Helps Academic IELTS and G Helps General IELTS. Those are the exam books that we use in these live classes. You can always check out the schedules on Instagram and on the YouTube community board. Today until the 5th. Welcome to August, by the way, everybody. We've got speaking part 1 right now. And then tomorrow we've got reading for members and we've got listening part 1 and part 2 for subscribers tomorrow. So make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's 100% free. And it's a great way to start your preparation for the IELTS exam. And then we've got speaking part 2 and speaking part 3 on Saturday. So check that out. Here's a brand new video for you. that we released this past couple of days. Check that out when you get the chance. David says, sir, how can you be energetic teaching about IELTS every day? I'm kind of burnt out. That's a good question, David. That's a really good question. I bet a couple of people have that question in their heads, especially those who are in the class regularly. And I'll give you an answer for that as we start the speaking. It's connected to speaking. It's connected to the topic of speaking. So it's a really good question, David. It's surprisingly a good question. I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's just IELTS, right? So David is asking this question in the chat, and we can get right into our speaking with this question. So David is asking, sir, how can you be energetic teaching IELTS every day? I'm kind of burned out, right? That's a good question. The answer, David, is that I'm not just teaching IELTS. That's kind of the surprising answer, okay? It's not just IELTS, okay. But it is communication skills using English, which is the essence of globalization and being a successful and happy human. Okay, and I really mean that. So a lot of people think, oh, IELTS is just an English test, whatever. I need to pass it to immigrate and get into university. IELTS is our best standard language exam for the language that we use to communicate globally. Think about it that way, and that will make you hopefully more passionate like me about learning for IELTS. When you master IELTS, you don't just pass a test, but you open doors. You open doors to a happy and successful life, communicating with the world around you. And as humans, as social creatures, that's no small fries. So that is the key. That is the biggest key. If you can get band 9 in every part of the IELTS exam, I promise you, you're going to have a very happy and successful life, okay? All right, so that's why I get super passionate about teaching IELTS, because I know that I'm helping you to become the best and happiest versions of yourself on the international scale. So I am super energetic every day to teach, let's call it IELTS, right? Because it opens many doors, and I think you understand what I mean by that, for you and thousands of people to be successful and happy. Now, if that doesn't motivate a person, excuse me, I don't know what will, right? So that absolutely motivates me every day to get up at 5:30 in the morning full of energy and ready to help you learn new words and new techniques to communicate better, okay? So hopefully that makes sense, right? Sahil says, is band 7 good enough though? Yeah, it's good enough for a lot of goals like getting into university and school, but ideally at some point in your young adult life, you do reach that band 8, band 9 level where you are a very good or expert user of the English language, okay? All right. Okay, lots of questions. That's great. That's fantastic. We're looking at a very productive week. I like seeing questions. Okay, so this is speaking. So let's focus on speaking part 1. And in a perfect situation, you're speaking and repeating. So you're copying what I say, you're copying how I say it. Now, as I just hinted, IELTS can be understood in 2 perspectives. One is the English, meaning vocabulary and grammar, and you should always practice your grammar and your vocabulary, read lots, learn new words, practice technical writing for grammar, right? Okay, read lots for sure. Okay, and not AMD, and IELTS is also a test of communication. Okay, so communication means your ability to concisely and accurately answer questions for your audience. Okay, so that's what you're working on. You're working on the English and you're working on communication. It's really important to be able to separate these two components. Think about them individually. So, okay, am I improving my grammar? Am I improving my vocabulary? I'm doing that, good. And then am I improving my communication? So am I focusing on my ability to answer questions visually, with detail, in a concise way, staying on topic? And this is what you have to work on continuously to become a better and better communicator in English, right? Okay. That's what you need to do. Rupinder, yeah, 1.5 minutes could be enough for part 2, as long as you answer all the questions, sure. All right, so let's get into it. Let's just jump into some questions. We'll talk about technique. We'll have some examples as we go through. So let's change it up a little bit. Let's start with what is your full name? Just give me a nice full sentence answer for this one, everybody. So you go to your IELTS speaking test, you arrive 1 hour before, you practice your English with other candidates, you go up to them and you're like, hey, are you here for your IELTS? And they're like, yes, I am. What a coincidence. And you'll be like, awesome. Do you want to practice some questions and answers? I'll start. You can continue after. And then they're like, sure, that's a great idea. And then you can be like, okay, welcome to the speaking section of the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. What is your full name? And then they give you their full name. Hey, you never know. You might meet your new best friend at the IELTS exam center. Maybe a new friend. And then give a nice full sentence answer for this one. Shahar Wafa has this answer for us this morning. Shahar Wafa says, my name is Shahar Aziz Wafa. Okay, the hidden question that the examiner has right here is, what should I call you? So to show them that you prepared for the exam, answer that question. Please use my middle name, or please refer to me by my middle name, Aziz, which was probably your father's name. Okay, so tell them what you want to be called. I'm just giving this as an example. You might be called Shahar. I don't know. It's up to you. But my name is Shahar Aziz Wafa. Please refer to me by my middle name, Aziz. Sure. If you want. Why not, right? Okay, so tell them what you want to be called. That shows that you prepared. It also shows more fluency right away. Okay. All right, David. Thank you for that good first question this morning. Here is the answer by David. David says, my first name is David and my last name is Carosa. Please refer to me as David. David, wonderful. That's a band 9 start. Good job. Okay. All right, next question. May I see your identification? Show them your identification, hold it out, show that you prepared by just holding it there and letting them see it. They don't need to touch it, they just need to see it. Okay. Shwasti says, yes, here it is. Again, Shwasti, this is not an ESL teacher. They will not try to get you to speak more. If you don't speak fluently, your fluency and coherence scores go down. So, Shwasti, you need to be fluent right off the bat, okay? It's for yourself and for the examiner to show that you're fluent. A lot of students make that grave mistake of confusing their IELTS examiner for an English teacher. and they think that it's okay to just be lazy English. Don't have lazy English in IELTS. Okay, it's a big problem. All right, they're not an ESL teacher. They will just mark you low for coherence and fluency. So, Shwasti, yes, here it is. At least say, please have a look at my credentials. Okay, some students say this is the ID I used to register. Please have a look at my credentials. Or here's my passport. Let me just flip to the page with my details. Here it is. Have a look. Okay, but generally in a professional situation, we don't just go, yeah, here it is, or yes, sure. Okay, it's not your pal. It's not your buddy. You need to be fluent. Okay, and it's not an ESL teacher. They're not going to say, can you use a longer sentence, please, to answer that question in a more professional format. They will never say that kind of a sentence. Okay, sometimes people get kind of lazy with their ESL teachers, and they just like that their ESL teacher is asking them to speak more and use words, but IELTS examiners don't do that. They're not teachers. Okay, so careful with that. They'll just mark you low. They'll just be like, oh, it's a band 6. They're fluent. They don't really like talking much, though. All right, where do you live? That's a good question. Again, big to small, details, visual, right? Remember how I started the lesson today? I said I'm streaming live from Victoria, Western Canada, British Columbia, Garden City, known for its beautiful flowers. That's what you need to do. So where do you live? I live in a 4-bedroom house with my wife and 2 kids in Victoria, the capital city of British Columbia, in Western Canada. There you go. So small to big, right? House, city, province, country. You can go the other way. You can go country, province, city, house. So I live in Canada, in British Columbia, in its capital city, Victoria, in a 4-bedroom house with my family, my wife and 2 children. There you go. So again, details, keep that in mind, right? Show yourself that you are able to speak with details. So I live in a 4-bedroom house with my wife and 2 kids in Victoria, the capital city of British Columbia in Western Canada. Okay, Koa Dong. Koa. Looks like you've got a nice full sentence answer. I like to see nice full sentence answers. Koa says this. Koa says, I live in Thua Thien Hue province, located in the central coast of Vietnam. I live in a 1-floor house with my parents. And you don't need the in that province. That's a bit awkward. You already said it's a province. Don't repeat yourself, everybody. That's the concise language. I live in a 1-floor house with my parents. Okay. Good. I like it. All right. Next question. What helps you to relax? In order to unwind, I like to watch a bit of TV or go for a run. Although the latter requires some energy, it really helps me to release some mental stress. There you go, right? Because people are like, running? What? You relax when you run? So I give it a bit of explanation. Here you go. Check it out. Whenever you give information that is kind of like, huh? You have to make sure that you explain yourself, okay, in a simple way. All right? So what helps you to relax? in order to unwind, not unwind myself, especially for a lot of those students in India. It tends to be a kind of a weird, maybe soon it will be an accepted version as Indian English is becoming more and more widely accepted, but a lot of people in India say unwind myself. In other English dialects, that tends to be kind of weird. So it's more natural just to say unwind, not unwind myself. Okay, you're not spun up like an elastic band. So in order to unwind, I like to watch a bit of TV or go for a run. Although the latter requires some energy, it really helps me to release mental stress. Okay. All right, it's not unwind myself. All right. Okay, Ming, let's see what you got. Ming has this answer for us. Ming says, for relaxation, I listen to some music in the park in the evening, which helps me to relieve my mental stress. Nice, Ming, and you're using that collocation, mental stress. Good. Ming, if I may, add an example. So I listened to 30 minutes of jazz in the park last night as I was quite anxious about this upcoming exam. Okay? So include that example, Ming, to give it even more fluency, to make it even higher level and make it a clear band 9 response. Okay? All right. Paul has this answer for us. Paul says, I like to work out. As you know, doing exercise is not only beneficial for your physical health, but also your mental health. What if your examiner is sitting in a wheelchair? Okay, so I know that's kind of harsh. You're like, what? No, you don't know, right? Although what you're saying, Paul, is generally speaking very, very true, it's best to avoid direct communication with your listener. It's not considered professional communication, and it can be very awkward, and it can stifle, hamper your communication as well. Okay, so don't use this phrase, as you know. Okay, you don't know what your examiner knows and what they don't know. Okay, don't use the word your. Okay, avoid that second person voice because you don't know them. You don't know who they are. Maybe they're pregnant. They're not going to go work out. It's not going to be good for their health, right? So don't do that. Okay, so there's an important tip. Do not say, as you know, because you do not know what your examiner knows and doesn't know. Okay. Also, avoid you as you do not know your examiner. And it's not only that, because we do use the word you often in everyday communication to grab the attention of our listener. It's not only that, it's just not considered professional, high-level communication. Avoid you. Only use you when you're talking to a person for them to do an action. You hear me say the word you often in these classes because I'm instructing you to speak a certain way or instructing you to participate in an activity. So I'm directly speaking to you, not indirectly. Okay, it's a big difference. You really have to understand the concept of when to use you in communication. Okay. Everybody got that? Thumbs up? Yeah? Can I see a couple of thumbs up emojis? It's a really important tip. And the final reason, which is an extremely important reason, is it creates poor low-level language. Okay? Using the word you and thing creates low-level communication. Okay, replacing these two words in your answers forces you to think of better subject and nouns, subject, nouns, and nouns, right? Okay, somebody's giving me one of these. Hishikesh, thank you. All right, some thumbs up. Vishnu is like, thumbs down. All right, Vishnu, teach their own, right? All right, but I see lots of thumbs up, which is good. Pritam says, yeah, I got it. All right. Okay, maybe Vishnu, you're giving me a thumbs down because it's behind my head. Right. So tip, do not say as you know, because you don't know what your examiner knows and doesn't know. It can sound really awkward. Also, avoid you. You don't know your examiner, okay? So by using other words, you will speak better. You will speak clearer, okay? All right, everybody. So let's get into some of these questions. At this point, your examiner will say, okay, now let's talk about the news, okay? Got something in my eye. I got the news in my eye. All right, so let's talk about the news. Now, never, ever, 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 ever think negatively like, oh gosh, I never read the news. Okay, if the topic is not your cup of tea, you can't ask for the examiner to change it. Okay, you can't be like, well, I'm not into the news. Can we talk about bicycles? That's what I prepared for. I prepared for talking about bicycles. And they'll be like, no, let's talk about the news. Okay, so you have to be able to talk about it. So never think negatively, okay? Okay, so no matter how distant it may seem, never think negatively about it, because then you're self-defeating, okay? You can't be self-defeating, right? So even if you don't watch the news or look at the news regularly, you have to think about what you do know, okay? So always focus on what you do know, okay? So world news, local news, sports, entertainment, business, okay, weather, right? On the mobile, on the TV. Okay, so think about what you do know, all right? Makes sense? And by the way, students, even if you're not into the news, it's not your cup of tea, when you're getting ready for the IELTS, I think it is a smart idea to at least watch 30 minutes to an hour of BBC or some other international news in English to help build your vocabulary and have some content for your answers, okay? All right. So always think positively. If it's about music and dance and you're not a big dancer, you have 2 left feet, then still you need to be able to think about dancing and how fun it could be. Okay? So here we go. Question: how often do you read the news? All right, Chayani has this answer for us. Chayani says, I regularly read some news, either printed or digital version, at least 2 hours each day. In my meantime, I usually read updated news that were published in tabloid or on the website like Financial Times. Okay, I think what you're trying to say, so it's a great start. This is really nice. Okay, let me just emphasize a couple of good points here. So I really like the first sentence, Chani. I regularly read the news, either printed or digital version, at least 2 hours each day. I love how you answer the question. You say regularly. Okay. I love how you use either or, which is a correlative conjunction that emphasizes your action. And I love how you give quantification, 2 hours. So I know that you're really into the news. 2 hours each day. Wow, that's a lot of time spent on the news. Okay, in my meantime, I think what you want to say here, Chani, is in my me time, comma, because that's a leading expression of time. In my me time, I usually read the latest news. It's not updated. We usually say, Chani, the latest news that were published in the tabloids. That has been. Use the present perfect passive here. Okay, so present perfect passive. That has been published, because it has been, it is, and it will be, right? So that has been published in the tabloids and websites like the Financial Times. I read that Tesla stocks went up again by 5% in the last week. Nice little example. So Chayani, that would be a correction from a band 6 to a band 9. Okay, with the accurate language, the more fluent, clear language, and that example, that's your difference between a fluent versus a good, a very good, and an expert level of response. Okay, so the first part will get you that 6, 7 even. The second part will kind of hurt your score if it's unclear and it's the wrong grammar, but this way it will be better. Okay. Rahul has this answer for us. Rahul says, although I'm a busy bee, I read news for 2 hours each day. To be more specific, I read sports news every morning. Just yesterday, I read a sports news in which Manchester United won the UCL for the 4th time. Okay, just yesterday I read that Manchester United won the UCL for the 4th time. Good. Okay. Now, careful. I'm not sure what the UCL is. You're going to have to tell me. I have a feeling it might be the Cricket League. Okay. But that's just me guessing. You need to tell me. Just like if I say NHL, I need to maybe say National Hockey League, or NBA, National Basketball League, right? UFC, Ultimate Fighting Championship. I know a lot of them. I just don't know all of them. Okay. So careful using acronyms, okay? Better to give the full term. Okay, again, don't believe that your examiner knows exactly what you know. Okay, be very careful with that. Also, this part here, although I'm a busy bee, it sounds like it's forced, Rahul. It sounds like you're trying to pick up points for using an idiom, and it's okay, but it does feel kind of forced. It feels like you're just putting that in there just so you can use an idiom. It doesn't really have to be there. Okay? So careful with that. Don't force idioms, students. If you're forcing idioms, it will take down your score for being unnatural. Okay? The examiner is marking how natural your English sounds. If you're forcing idioms, it's not going to be natural. All right. I see that I disappeared there for a second. Let me see. Let's see if I can get that camera back. Yeah, there we go. All right. Okay. So just be careful with that. Okay. All right. Let's take the next question here. Where do you get the latest news from? And why? Okay. The examiner will often have this why question on their question sheet. And notice that the why question will often have the brackets on the end of it. Okay. There's a reason for that. So the brackets kind of tell the instructor or the examiner that if the student does not give the reason, ask them why. So it's really good to include the reason for your answer, especially when it's obviously needed. So where do you get the latest news from? Okay. All right, Ubaydulayev has this answer for us. I'm a follower of both BBC and Guardian, which means not only can I get news easily, but also I can improve my listening ability. I listen to BBC podcasts for an hour a day on my mobile phone. Okay, finish that sentence. Maybe it just didn't fit. Ubaydulayev. Okay, so I am a follower of both BBC and Guardian, which means not only can I get news easily. Here, if I say I get news easily, my question would be why? Okay, so why, right? Why can you get it easily? What makes BBC and The Guardian easy sources for news? Okay, easily because they both have apps, newspapers, and TV broadcasts. Okay, now it's clear. Now it's not just a band 7, but a band 9, right? So I'm a follower of both BBC and Guardian, which means not only can I get news easily because they both have apps, newspapers, and TV broadcasts, but also I can improve my listening ability. I listen to BBC podcasts for an hour a day on my mobile phone. Okay. Make sure to repeat, students. Repeat. Okay. Next question. What kind of news do you not like? Give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. Okay. What kind of news do you not like? All right, Anna. Nice fast answer. Great. Anna has this answer for us. Anna says, well, I despise reading news about politics because I feel scared when I read news about natural disasters and war conflicts. Anna, we don't need war conflicts. That's strange. Just war. Such as reading about a tsunami in Hokkaido, Japan, or the conflict in Eastern Europe. Okay. Then, Anna, you have your band 9. So giving those examples absolutely will bump up your fluency, lexical resource, coherence, right? Examples make the world clear for us. Remember that, students. You should be really thinking about that as you go into your speaking exam. This is a big, big tip, okay? Tip. Examples make the world clear for humans, okay? Without examples, we're often just kind of like a bunch of monkeys. We're like, huh? I shouldn't say I am, okay? So I'm like, so examples make the world clearer for humans, especially when they're visible, when we can see it and when we can be empathetic to them, okay? Okay, so if we can be empathetic, we can be like, yeah, I know about that. Or yeah, I can kind of feel what that might be like. So if we can be empathetic or sympathetic, then we understand. Okay? All right. So include those examples. Okay? All right. Let's keep going. When do you like to research the news and why? Okay, of course, right? So again, it's very, very logical. Okay. When do you like to research the news? Now, students, I see a lot of you answering. Sina, Amir, Pritam, that's awesome. And keep those answers in mind because very, very soon here, we've got a few more questions. We're going to actually be interacting with students and you'll have a chance to speak so we can talk to each other and we'll be able to do the IELTS speaking for real, right? Okay. All right. So when do you like researching the news? Nobody likes politics, but everybody watches it. So that might give you a hint on what you could say for this answer. Momotaro, Peach Boy, aka, right? One of my favorite fairy tales. Okay, Momotaro in English means Peach Boy. A very famous folk story in Japanese, Momotaro. Momotaro says, Momotaro, by the way, is very powerful and fights off demons, so thank you for that, Momotaro. Momotaro says, sometimes I tend to research the news, especially when it concerns social security issues. Recently, there have been a lot of news circulating about poverty and homelessness in the UK. In order to keep myself financially safe, I make sure to ingest as much of this news as I can. Okay, sure, Momotaro, in the modern world, right? The financial Momotaro of the world. All right. Yeah, no, that's a good answer. Okay, so absolutely, and I think that's great, quick thinking, Momotaro. Safety, right? Public safety. So obviously, a lot of people followed the news very, very carefully during COVID when it was a health issue, right? So I pay close attention to the news and find out as much as I can when it has a direct impact on me and the people I care for. This was the case during the COVID pandemic when I was fearful for my health and the health of my siblings, parents, and friends. Right? Okay. So, yeah, that's a good answer. All right. Again, make sure that you're writing down new words, copying what I say, copying how I say it. Okay. Enunciate. Say it loud. Say it loud. Here we go. If you could change one thing about the news, what would that be? And of course, why, right? It would be so strange. I would have more news about sports. Why? Because I love playing football and basketball. Okay, good, right? So include the explanation, give an example, right? I would not only broadcast major football and basketball events, but also local sporting events in high schools and community centers. Okay. All right. Gurnett, you're reading me wrong. I'm not tired today at all. I have tons of energy today. I'm pumped. Do I look tired? I shouldn't look tired. I don't feel tired at all. Okay, so if you could change one thing about the news, what would that be? Okay. Momotaro, you're very, very welcome. Momotaro says, I'm one of your course subscribers. Yeah, that's great, Momotaro. And participate. That's fantastic. Yeah. And like I say, one of my favorite children's stories. I read it to my children. Absolutely. When I was in Japan, I was gifted a very nice Momotaro storybook. All right. So if you could change one thing about the news media, what would that be? All right. Sukhdeep Tijay, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. If not, I'm sorry about that. Sukhdeep, one change that I would consider in media is giving them more freedom to talk about serious topics like politics so that media will cover reality, which would be really helpful. Okay. So let's take a look at Sukhdeep's answer here. Sukhdeep, first of all, use the question in your answer, given the chance. Okay, so very important to do that. Reflect the grammar, the conditional, the nature of the question. Okay, so Sukhdeep, first quick correction, given the chance, one change I would consider in media is giving them, who are them? They're journalists. Journalists is a much better word. You're going to get lexical resource marks. Journalists, more freedom to talk about serious topics like politics so that media will cover reality, which would be really helpful. Now, so far, it's probably like a band 7 answer. It's not an 8. It's not a 9. What's missing? What do you think? And Sukhdeep, I just want to show you it's not just me. Sometimes I have this feeling like people are thinking, well, Adrian says that, but I don't say that. Or Adrian says that, but I wouldn't think that. No, you have to think about what the majority of people would think or feel. Where does logic take you? Okay. So, careliness as an example, I agree. An example is definitely a key here because it would help me to understand it much better. So I would say yes, an example. And what else? What else is kind of missing here? Like if you're sitting in a coffee shop having a chit chat with Sukhdeep and Sukhdeep gives this response, right? What would be your question that follows? Right away you'd be like, yeah, but Sukhdeep, or yeah, Sukhdeep. So what would you ask Sukhdeep? Maybe an example. I would certainly ask an example. Like, what do you mean? Can you give me an example? Right? Yeah, David says why. So notice, Sukhdeep, that several people are kind of missing the concept here, right? Which would be really helpful for what? For who? Okay. So when you say that the media should cover reality, which would be really helpful for who or for what? Right? So you have to finish this idea. It's unfinished. Okay? So reality, which would be really helpful for the general public to have trust in their leadership. Okay? All right. If people knew that the conflict in Eastern Europe was for economic reasons, they may change their lifestyles to balance global economy. Okay? Right? Just a thought, but it doesn't matter. Okay, it's an example. So Sukhdeep says, given the chance, one change that I would consider in media is giving journalists more freedom to talk about serious topics like politics so that the media will cover reality, which would be really helpful for the general public to have trust in leadership. Like if people knew that the conflict in Eastern Europe was for economic reasons, they might change their lifestyles to balance the global economy, right? And then we would have peace. Okay? So think about having clarity. Always think about, your listener's position. All right, last question here, and then we're going to practice this in our website. Have the way people followed the news changed in the last 20 years, and is this good or bad? Okay. Yes. Not Easter, Eastern. Okay. So, have the way people followed the news changed in the last 20 years? Is this good or bad? Okay. Muslim Attitude says in 2 parts. Good for you. Or no, it's just the repeat. Okay. Don't spam Muslim Attitude, because if you get caught for that, you're going to see one of our moderators muting your stream. Okay. So Muslim Attitude says, well, I think this is a good development. I don't see the start of your answer. Maybe it's way before. I'm going to try to see if I can find it somewhere, but I don't see it. Okay. All right, well, let's take a look at this Muslim Attitude. I think this is a good development, the way media did progress in the last 2 years. Okay, what's the grammar mistake here? Media did progress in the last 2 decades. What's the correct grammar here, everybody? This kind of grammar mistake, you can't make it in the IELTS. It will cost you marks. The examiner will catch it. They will catch it for sure. Okay. Yeah, notice right away, several students are like, present perfect should be used because it's changed over time, right? So, well, I think this is a good development, the way the media has progressed in the last 2 decades. Now, people are more aware about international issues. They have no hurdle in contacting with their loved ones abroad, and they can follow the news instantaneously with their mobile phones and apps. I get up to the minute news through my BBC app every day. Okay, there you go. All right, so now it's correct. Yeah, you can't make grammatical mistakes like that. Be careful. Okay. All right, and then the examiner will say that is the end of part 1. We will now continue with part 2. For this part, I will show you some questions in a booklet. Please do not touch the booklet. You will have 1 minute to read these questions, and then you go on to part 2. Now, students, let's get into some speaking, and before I go there, I'll show you how to do it. So we're going to do this. Okay, this is our next step in the class here. We're going to do some volunteering, and we're going to use our website to talk to students and give you a chance to present your speaking and get some feedback and tips and score estimates on what you can expect for your speaking. So Amra and Carolina have both kindly put the instructions into the chat, so check that out. The first and most important step is to go to the website. Okay, make sure you have a good internet connection, stable internet connection. You might need a VPN in some countries. Okay, So go to aehelp.com, and then I'll go through the steps here. So we are in aehelp.com. Okay. Again, you can join the premium version of the course by clicking these big red buttons, either that one or this one at the end of the intro video. Okay, just right above my head there. It's a one-time payment, it's lifetime access, and you're good to go. All right, and then you get your My Student account. In your My Student account, you have your computer-based practice exams, you have your online interactive course with all the strategies, you have over 150 videos for all the sections of the exam, you have printable exams, there's just so much here. And we ask very little for that compared to other companies. And then you click on Student Partner Speaking right now. That's where I need you to go to interact with me. It's just right above my head there. Okay. And you click on Student Partner Speaking, you accept the terms, and then you get redirected to our speaking interface. You can actually do video call, but I can't do video calls with you because my camera is being occupied by YouTube. Okay. Now you see here we have Sajan, we have Renew It, we have Tatiana. You can see our premium members. They got those tags besides them, the Chayani, Riyadh. And then you can send me a notification. You can say, I want to practice. You will find me in here as Master. Okay, Master, all capital letters. It's easy to find, and then just send me a message. All those little orange numbers, those ones are showing that I've got some messages due as even calling me. Don't call me those, students, okay? That's distracting. I will pick someone from there. So do, if you want to volunteer, just send me a ping. Do just say, find Master and say, I want to volunteer, I want to try. Okay. All right. Good. Lots and lots and lots and lots of students. Let's take someone from the middle today. Let's try Ahmet Turk. Ahmet, are you ready? Okay. Ahmet says, I'm ready. All right, here we go, Ahmet.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Ahmet. How are you?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm doing good as well. Thank you. And good on you, Ahmet, for practicing and coming back. I remember we had a little interaction, I think last week, wasn't it?
I am very happy to. I am happy. I am really happy that you are remembering last time we spoke here.
Yeah, absolutely. I do my best. All right, Ahmet, can you tell everybody again where you are and why you're taking the IELTS exam?
I am from Turkey, but I live in Nepal for 7 years. I am trying uh, to prove myself that I know English. So it is just for personal reason. I am not planning to do any kind of master or abroad studying in the future, near future plans. I don't have it. Just for my personal satisfaction and try to prove myself that I really gave myself to English and I achieved it. I just
Good for
want
you.
to.
Yeah, Ahmed, here's some interesting here's an interesting addition to what you're saying. Provided that you get a great band score, like especially if you get a band 8 or a band 9 in the speaking section, it doesn't just show that you know English. So if for example, let's say I don't know you, you come to my company and you say, hey, you know, I'm looking for a new job. Here's my resume, and on your resume it says Ahmed, and it says band 9 speaking on the IELTS. That doesn't actually just tell me that you know English really well. What that actually tells me, even more importantly, in some sense, is that you're really good at communicating. So you can convey your ideas very, very clearly, accurately, and quickly. And that's extremely valuable in today's world. So it's not just a proof of English, especially with those higher scores, but a proof of good communication skills. Keep that in mind, okay? That's for everybody. That's an important tip. All right, Ahmed?
Week also I also mentioned something about that. It is just knowing how to explain one thing. Also, you said you hit the nail on the nail head or something. You said something that I first time I heard it of it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
yeah, I totally agree with you that being successful in IELTS exam is just not only about English. Maybe it is about the way your brain works, or how you organize the words and sentences before they are coming out of from your mouth. And it's very
Exactly.
important. It is long term exam that very qualified people like you has been produced by this IELTS exam standards. There are basically people are there. You just not trick or play with. They know what they are doing. They know how they are giving you score.
Hmm.
Everything is much 99.9 percentage accuracy. I think
It
in
is.
terms of
Yeah.
it is something like that.
Yes, exactly, Ahmed. Yeah, they work very, very hard to be consistent. It's called validity and reliability. So they work very hard to make sure that the scores are valid and reliable. The expression, Ahmed, just repeat after me, is you hit the nail on the head.
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, it means it's the exact point or the exact idea. All right, Ahmed, let's jump into a couple of questions. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready. Yeah.
All right, welcome to the speaking section of the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. I will be your examiner for this part of the test. What is your full name?
My full name is Ahmed Turk, and then please call me Ahmed if you like to. It is again out of the way. Sorry for that. It is my first time. It is my second time actually in your class, so I can start again with by saying the answer again.
Sure.
My full name is Ahmed Turk. Please call me Ahmed.
Where do you live?
I live in Nepal, in Kathmandu, the district that called Sanapai, in 2 BHK apartment with my wife and 2 children.
What helps you to relax?
The things that makes me relax and away from the hustle and bustle of life, calling a nice and very beloved friend. If it is not possible to call because of the time or maybe the place that I am in, maybe I will find a book, interesting book from my library, or in a coffee shop that I can read my stories in my laptop or tablet.
Let's talk about the news. How often do you read the news?
Actually, in a 24 day basis, maybe 30 minutes or 45 minutes, I check the news on the internet. And then the best way that I try to learn or follow the news is there is an app in my mobile phone called Bundle. This app's actually pondering the news for me, and then it gives you the chance to select the subjects that you are interested in before when you install that application in your mobile phone. So it ponders the news for you, and then it gives me the some basic break news, or just about the latest updates about the topics that I am interested in.
Okay, I'll stop there. Ahmed, that was really good. Let me give you some feedback. So you do have very good English, and I believe that if you were to sit the IELTS exam tomorrow and you spoke like this in the test, you would get probably about a 7.5, maybe an 8. It depends on your examiner. I do think most examiners would probably give you a 7.5. Some might even give you a 7. Firstly, you're very fluent. I can tell that you think in English when you speak in English for the most part, for sure. You have good vocabulary. However, at times your communication is a bit confusing for the listener. So you have to be careful about that. The way to improve that, Ahmed, slow down. You're almost, even comparing to native speaker fluency, you're on the faster side. So most native speakers will speak probably a little bit slower than how quickly you were speaking. So you can easily slow down about 10-15% and use that extra time to be more accurate with the information. So when I asked you about your name, you got, a little bit nervous, a little bit excited, and it's okay. And then you said, let me start that again. And then you gave me a nice, clear, concise answer, which was great. And you can do that, everybody, in your IELTS. You can say to the examiner, just a moment, I'm really anxious, I'm excited, let me take a deep breath, let me just start that answer again. And then you can absolutely restart, and it's okay. It's actually smart to do that instead of just jumbling your words, okay? So that was fine. Now, you told me where you live. You live in Nepal, Kathmandu. It was really good, the introductions. Then I asked you what helps you to relax, and you said the things that makes me relaxed. Okay, so instead of the things, anytime, Ahmed, and this is for everybody, you catch yourself using the word things when you're practicing at home, stop and think, what word could be better? Ahmed, what word can replace the word the things that make me relaxed?
Maybe activities. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. You don't have to overcomplicate it. Activities. The goal is just to avoid the word things. That's just a slippery slope. As soon as a person starts using the word things, then they start using it more. Then it gets really out of control. They start using the word stuff. So you want to just avoid it. You have to make that a mental point to avoid it. Activities, okay? That make me relaxed, okay? Because it's plural. Make me relaxed. And away from the hustle and bustle of life is calling my dear friend. If this is not possible, I'll find a book. And then just give an example. Last week, I wasn't able to reach my friends, so I started reading a book about how to grow tomatoes. Okay, so don't forget that example, Ahmed. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How often do you read the news? Actually, in a 24-hour so you said actually in a 24-day basis. What you wanted to say here is in a 24-hour, but you missed that keyword hour. And that's exactly where you can improve if you slow down a little bit, as you won't miss these keywords, right? So in a 24-hour day, on a 35-minute basis, I try to check the news. On my phone, there's an app called Bundle. And now here is where you made one of your biggest mistakes, Ahmed, where you were jumping between the U and the I. And that got really confusing. It's like, Ahmed, I don't have your phone. I'm not going to check the news on your phone. Okay. You started saying that you can check the news that you're interested in, and it sounded like I can check the news on your phone. So it was really, I know that's not what you meant, but it was really awkward. And then you switched back to using I. Just really make sure that you do not jump to that U. Okay, Ahmed, the U is a big no-no. All right.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think I consumed too much time for the just for myself.
No, not at all, Ahmed. The important point here, Ahmed, is that those couple of mistakes that you made, it's one of the most common reasons that people with your ability of English are stuck at a band 7 instead of a band 8.
Yeah.
Because there are so many people that have fluent or good English, but then they're stuck at that level and they don't get to the very good level because the content is confusing or, sorry, it's missing. So when I'm spending time like this with any volunteer, it's because I know that a lot of people make similar mistakes, Ahmed. So it's
Yeah.
not just you. So not at all.
But thank you anyway. It really it helps me, and then the other friends also. I want to also listen to them because I feel like I am speaking when the other students speaks. Also, I improve myself. But thank you for your time. Very appreciated here.
Absolutely.
Thank
You're
you so
very
much.
welcome, Ahmed. And thank you for sharing your English. Have a lovely rest of the day. Bye, Ahmed.
Thank you. Same to all. Thank you so much.
All right, that was Ahmed. Let's give Ahmed a big thumbs up. That was really good. Yeah, students learn from each other. Ahmed's a very, very intelligent person, obviously, and he's saying, yeah, no, I want to give others a chance because peer learning is very, very effective, and it is. Okay. All right. Let's see if we can reach out to Hung Pham. Hung Pham, are you ready? Look at all those thumbs up. Yeah, everybody be brave, volunteer. It's the way to improve, okay? We're rocking and rolling. Lots getting done today. Hung Pham, if you're there, give me a sign. Let me know that you're there, and then I will jump into some more of these part 1 questions about the news. Perfect.
Hello?
Hi, Hung. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for asking. How about you?
I am doing fantastic. Now that's a lovely answer. You actually asked me, thank me for asking. That's great. Hung, is this the first or the second time we're interacting?
This is the first time we're interacting.
I thought so. I thought so. Hung, can you tell me where you are and why you're taking the IELTS?
I'm currently living in a suburb area of Haifa City. which is located in Vietnam.
Hmm.
I have been living there for more than 20 years,
And
and
mhm.
I have been practicing for IELTS examination to get a better job in the future. I want to work in an international hospital. Mhm.
International hospital.
Yes,
Okay, in Vietnam or in some other part of the world?
in Vietnam.
Okay, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, whether it's an international hospital or not, English is just very important in the medical world, right?
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. Good focus on clear, full sentences, by the way, so far, and good focus on using complex grammar like the present perfect. The examiners catch all of those details, so good for you for practicing those and applying those accurately. All right, are you ready for some part one questions?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. Let's talk about the news. How often do you read the news?
I frequently read newspaper, either electronic or physical version, because it helps me to get up to date with the events happening around the world. So I read the news 3 times a week. Actually, 2 days ago, I read the news about Born Pink concert of Blackpink band in Vietnam. Mhm.
Where do you get the latest news from?
Um, it really depends on the type of information that I want to read. If it's related to medicine, such as medical researches or treatment guidelines, I would like to get this from a website named Up to Date. If the news belongs to fashion, I like to read the information from Vogue magazines by using my mobile phone.
What kind of news do you not like?
Mm, it's tough to say, but I guess I did like the news related to celebrity gossip because I think it is time consuming and most of them are not reliable. For example, a week ago, I I read the news about Chen Tang's marriage. The news said that his marriage is broken, but the next day, the news were confirmed is wrong.
Okay, good. That's really good, Hank. Your band score, it's about an 8. Okay, I would say it's a fairly clear 8. So that would be considered very good English. All right. The only reason you're losing one band is you have a couple, not many, just a couple of places where your language use or grammar is slightly off and awkward. And you have a couple of places where your pronunciation is slightly off and awkward. And that will cost you about a band score for this amount of speaking. Okay, so for example, like the word gossip, you said gossip. It's
Yes.
gossip. It's a sound. Gossip. Okay.
Oh my god.
So it just it's there was just a couple of these words. So what you want to do always is go back and just check, and if you weren't sure about those words, then just double check them.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
All
I
right.
understand.
And just one example of the grammatical mistake. So here, when you answered this last question, you said the next day the news were confirmed is wrong. You've got some tense confusion there with the be verb. The next
Yeah.
day the news was confirmed wrong. You don't need the is there.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
again, it's not so bad that it confuses me, but I can catch it that okay, I can't say that's expert level. I have to go with a very good here. Overall, though, that was very good. So you had really good flow, you had really good vocabulary, very good explanations and content. This is just a tip for you and for all of the viewers. Be very careful saying it really depends. You were able to do a good job of this starting content. It depends. However, a lot of candidates, when they start with "it depends," their answers get really confusing and difficult to understand. So
Mhm.
it's usually just better to give a clear answer instead of saying "it depends." So just be cautious with that. You did a good job, and I liked the answer, but it doesn't
Yeah.
always work out like that with the "it depends." So be careful. Okay.
Okay, okay.
All right. Okay. Very good. Any questions about the speaking section, Hung?
No, no, I just want to thank you because you're spending time with me. I'm really grateful about that.
You're super, super welcome. Thank you for sharing your English. You're helping lots of other people learn as well and be confident to volunteer. So that goes both ways, Hung. Come back
Yeah.
again in the future, okay?
Yes, I'm gladly do it.
Okay. Bye, Hung. Have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. Bye bye.
Bye. All right. That was Hung. Let's give a thumbs up. That was really good. All right, students, we're just hammering the server, so I have to reload the page on my end to see who's communicating. This interface is, of course, built mostly for all of you to interact with each other, okay, aside from using it in these live classes. So it's not a surprise sometimes in the live classes you have to reload the page just because there are so many of us hammering the server. So come back and volunteer again. Okay. All right. Let's see who else. Let's go with. It's nice to see new people. Let's go with the returning student who has been working. Sup. All right, Juan. Are you ready? Let's check in with Juan. How is Juan doing today? All right, Juan. Juan is ready. Here we go.
Hello,
Hi, Juan. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. What about you?
I am also doing well. Thank you for asking, Juan. Juan, just right off the bat, focus on a little bit slower speaking today, okay? Because you speak fast, so a little bit slower. Focus on content, okay?
Okay.
Juan, quick question. How is the weather in Mendoza, Argentina?
Actually, I'm I'm more to the south in Rio Negro, and now it's pretty cold. We have a couple of really warm days, kind of like spring,
Mm-hmm.
but today is really cold.
So it's getting back to a bit of cold. Okay, yeah, because Carolina's in Argentina as well, and she was saying it suddenly got really warm, and it's another sign of global warming. So I was wondering if that was still going on,
I
but
guess so.
but
Yeah,
okay, winter's returned a little bit. All right, good. Juan, are you ready to answer some questions for us?
I think so. Yeah.
All right, then let's talk about the news. When do you like to research the news?
I like to research the news when there is a major important event, and and usually when it has some positive connotation, because I don't like bad news because they can be really stressful, and for me it's like conveys negative feelings. So I like positive news. For example, when the first COVID vaccines were created, I was following all about it in order to see how was the development and when they were going to be available.
If you could change one thing about news media, what would that be?
I think if I could, I think it would be the some journalists that they give the news with a biased opinion. It seems like they are often defending the interests of the people who pay their salary. And I think they have to be more professional and objective. For example, I see this when I watch Fox News from the United States. They are so Republican, and you can certainly tell that. I mean, I can tell that when I see anything related to Fox News.
Okay, let's stop there. So, Juan, that was really good. All right, you slowed down a bit. You're focusing more on content. You made a good correction at the end there when you said you can see that, and then you said I can see that every time when I'm looking at the news. All right,
Yeah.
that was really good. And it got better and better. The more you spoke, the better you got. I had a little bit of trouble following all of your words, not because of your English, but because it sounds like there's a bit of a tambourine party going on in the background there. That instrument that I'm hearing, that that snare sound,
Yeah.
it's called a tambourine in English. Tambourine. Is that on the TV, or is somebody actually playing the tambourine next to you?
It's my brother and sisters because they're taking care of my little niece, and
Mm-hmm.
she's into a couple of musical instruments, guitar. I thought you wouldn't be able to hear them, but obviously you can.
I
I'm
I
sorry
I
about that.
can. No, it's okay. It's okay. I enjoyed the little tambourine background music to your speech. That was great. All right. So you said I like to research the news when there's a major important event, especially when it has an effect on me. And then you said I don't like bad news because it can be really stressful. So I research the news when it's really positive, like the COVID vaccines. I thought your ideas were really good. I think your band score would be about a 7.75 for these answers, Juan, just because they were a little bit awkward at certain points and a little bit off grammar, but the content was okay. So what you want to do is you want to go back, listen again, and also partly, like I say, because I couldn't hear you 100% clearly, I really liked the end of your last answer. That's where your English started to get really clear and accurate. You said that it seems that they are often presenting the interest of the people paying their salary. I think they have to be more professional and objective. That is really good English, and that shows to everybody, Juan, that it's critical to go to the IELTS exam center early, 1 hour early, and speak English to other candidates before you get into the interview, because if you're kind of just starting cold with your friends or your loved ones playing musical instruments and speaking Spanish, and then jumping right into English, it can be really tricky to get your ideas and thoughts together, right? Especially if you're doing a home-based exam. So yeah, you have to be really careful about that. But Juan, thank you so much for sharing. And hey, you know what? You've done some good work. It's time to go have some fun. Get in there, get the drums out, and join the band.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you to also my classmates here. They are very nice. Often I can practice with them.
All right. I thought you were going to thank your niece and nephew there for scoring the video, but all right, next time. Okay, Juan, have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
All right, big thumbs up for Juan. It's, by the way, everybody, when especially you're going for those higher scores like the Band 8, Band 9. One kind of interesting practice that you can do, which is kind of good, is to practice your English when you're tired, or to practice English with noise in the background, with other distractions. So for those higher band scores, candidates that can get those Band 8s and Band 9s, they can speak English quite well even when there are distracting factors like noise or background noise around them. And you might think, well, that's counterintuitive for Adrian to say that, but it's not. In the real world, we are often in situations where we don't have silence, and people aren't just like, so how often do you read the news? Silence, waiting for your answer, right? So that's in the exam situation, yes, but in the real world, no. And you know that when you can perform as Juan just did with distractions, then you should be able to do quite well when you do have silence. So adding that extra layer of challenge or pressure, especially going for those higher band 7, 5, 8, 9, it's a good way. It's an interesting way to practice. Okay. All right. Let's take another person. Let's take Run It. Run It. Are you ready? Okay, I'm switching it up, everybody, and hang in there, everyone. If you don't get a chance now, you'll get a chance later. So Run It. If you're there, let me know. All right, run it. We'll give you a 5-second countdown. 5, 4, a 3, a 2, a 1. I don't see anything. Alexander, we haven't heard from you in a long time. If it's the same Alexander. Oh, run it. Don't call me. It's too late. I'm reaching out to Alexander. Run it. It will be next time. So, Alexander, are you ready? Nope. Run it. Sorry. I can't do it that way. That wouldn't be fair now to Alexander. All right.
Hello.
Hi, Alexander.
Hi, Adrian.
Long time no hear your voice. How are you?
As far as I can, as we agreed before. Nice. Thank you for asking.
The correct English there, Alexander, is I'm good as can be.
And can be. Yeah.
I'm good as can be. All right, Alexander. Let's talk about the news. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right, okay. Here we go. If you could change one thing about the news media, what would it be?
Well, from my personal view, news should be less biased as today. So so-called journalist standards should be applied for every news companies, both international and local. So I'd like to see both points of view during some reports or some breaking news or some analysis. Then I'd prefer to make my own decision and my own view without any conclusions from the news provider.
Can you give me an example?
Well, I have many examples, of course, from political news companies from different countries. As the less developed democratic country, the more biased news they have. But more natural example is very very famous international company, Al Jazeera. For example, they have an international journalist or reporters in Ukraine, but Russian citizen in Russia. So the reports from both sides, from Russia's side, is a little bit, let's say, one-sided, in my view, simply because the person cannot be open and free in the information.
Have the way people followed the news changed in the last 20 years, and is this good or bad?
Oh, let me think a bit. Yes, it's changed a lot. It had been changed a lot. I still inclined to believe that it's good because people have wider range of horizons of news compared to previous decades when we had some limited news from, for example, from TV and newspapers. Nowadays, any unlazy person can go to internet if it's available, of course, and find a huge range of opinions and news analysis from around the world for 1 minute. I think it's a positive sign. So I'd prefer to choose this answer to your question.
All right. Okay. Alexander, that's the end of part 1. Good. All right. Lots of details. More concise, more focused answers will get you higher scores. So, you know, you have that personality, Alexander, where you like to digress. So it's like you're exploring your thoughts while you're speaking, which is a form of diction, and I appreciate that. And there's fundamentally nothing wrong with that. It can make for very enjoyable conversation, for sure. However, when we're speaking another language, that also increases the chance for mistakes, grammatical, for instance, with prepositions like to, in, at, for, on, and that's what's happening. So some of us have this type of diction where we like to digress and expand and reiterate, so state what we've already said, but in a different way to make it clear. We have one of two choices in your situation, Alexander. One, to really practice and make sure that we're not making mistakes with those prepositions and other grammar
Yeah.
forms. The
Yeah.
other one is to just be more concise, and for the IELTS at least, to not be that way, but to just give simple, short answers. Let me give you a good example of this, okay? You said it's, let me see where it is. Yeah, so here, when asked, do you have the way people followed the news changed? And you said, yes, it's changed a lot. And then you said it had been changed a lot. You actually gave me a correct sentence, and then you rephrased with an incorrect sentence. That's very awkward. So yes, it's changed a lot is correct, because the it's is a contraction, which is it has. Yes, it has changed a lot. So I caught that, and it was fine. And then you said it had been changed a lot. And I'm like, well, why did you just change it to a past perfect passive when you had a good present perfect response? It was awkward, right? So just go with it. Just be confident in your original. Only change it if you're really, really sure that you made a mistake. Okay, Alexander?
I wanted to show that it was changed not by itself, but it was, let's say, process.
I get it, but now it's I kind of get that I did kind of get that that's what you were doing, but now it's not explained, so I'm unclear whether you meant it purposefully or whether it was accidental. So in my books it just ends up being a mistake, right?
Okay.
In the real world, this is where it would be like, yes, it's changed a lot. I mean, it had been changed a lot by circumstance and by money, right? If I add those parts, then it's like, oh, okay, I get why you changed an active present perfect to passive. But otherwise, it's kind of like, are we correcting here? Are we? So what are we doing here, right?
Clear.
Yeah, and so again, that comes to digression, right? So how far do we go down with these answers? In the IELTS, because it's a timed interview, because there's part 2 coming, you have to be careful. And of course, I'm not just saying this to you, Alexander, but everybody else. They will interrupt you. So the examiner will interrupt you and be like, okay, we'll just go to the next question, right? So in that way, it's not the same as having an intellectual conversation in a coffee shop, right? So just be careful about that, okay?
To be simpler, I see.
Concise. Yeah, concise.
Okay.
Yeah. I can be inclined to say that people have wider horizons of news. Okay. I need to correct that a little bit. I get what you're saying. It's I am inclined to say, not I can be, but I am. I am inclined to say that people have a wider horizon of news, would be more accurate there, because it's one horizon of news. So just repeat after me. I am inclined to say that people have a wider horizon of news than in previous decades.
I'm inclined to say that people have a wider horizon of news than in previous decades.
Okay, good. All right, so just, again, concise, right? But only for the IELTS. In the real world, Alexander, if I ever have the chance to meet you, I would love to sit down and really just get deep into some of these topics, because I have a feeling you have a wealth of information to share with me, okay?
Flattered to hear it. Thank you.
All right, Alexander, good to see you back here volunteering.
Thank you. I was missing you, Andrian.
Oh, thank you. I'm flattered. Have a lovely day. Bye, Alexander.
Same to you. Bye.
All right, that was Alexander. Very good. Yeah, on the IELTS, everybody, concise language leads to higher scores, okay? It doesn't mean short answers. Concise and short are not the same, okay? Short answers don't get high marks. Concise answers get high marks, okay? If you're not sure about what that means, ask away. All right, everybody, this is for you. See, I'm having so much fun today. We've actually gone over time. So this is for you, everybody, to interact with each other and do that. And if you didn't get the chance to interact with me today, I know who I wasn't able to get to today, like Lydia and Fuang and Oana. So come back again, and I will switch it up, and we'll talk to other people next time, okay? Students, we're using our website, Academic English Help, for these interactions. These are the websites that power these live classes, as you just saw. To sign up for the premium package, you all should, who have not done this, click that big red button. it's above my head there, and join the premium version of the course. It's absolutely worth it. For general IELTS, it's the green background. Same idea. The chat interface is the same. It's interfaced between both websites. Okay. And I'm going to be back tomorrow with the reading for our members, our channel members, and listening for our channel subscribers. So definitely subscribe to the channel. And in the time between now and then, check out aehelp.com, check out glshelp.com, check out the new videos that we released over the past few days. Carolina, Umra, thank you so much. The class is a better place because of you. And members, thank you. Volunteers, always a big thanks for your effort and your courage. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Keep pushing forward. You're beautiful, brilliant people. Much love to all of you, wherever you are in the world today. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from Victoria, Canada for now. See you tomorrow. Bye.